Hello and welcome. Today we're taking a look at a few new releases. We have one of the new Nars Cheek and Eye palettes. I have the light version. We also have the new Prada Holiday. So I have all three lipstick shades plus the new eyeshadow palette, which is stunning. And we've got comparisons for this because some of the shades do look a little similar to some of the other palettes. And then we're also going to be taking a look at the new Hermes Liners. So we have lip liners, eyeliners, and a liquid eyeliner. And let's start off with these. So I actually ordered a ton of the new liners. When they launched at Nordstrom, they were selling quickly, and I kept putting shades in my cart and it'd be like one left, and then this shade would sell out. So I ordered a ton of these, but I haven't decided if I'm going to keep them yet. Because here's the deal. It's just not the best formula. For any of these products. So this is how they come packaged. This looks like it's your typical packaging, but this is just like a painted line on here. We don't actually have the pass-through like we do on the lipsticks. However, the liquid eyeliner does come in a box like that. So the liquid eyeliner has, your traditional packaging that you get with the lipsticks, where it's a little pull-through box and it goes through here. Now, one thing about the liquid, let me go ahead and let's start with this. So this here is not how it comes. So you've got this nice black cap click closure here, and this actually unscrews. So I'm guessing maybe they'll make this refillable later, but the actual ink comes separately. So you don't buy them separately. They come in this box here, and right here in this little crevice is a little inkwell. So you have to put that in yourself. This comes, just as like a white brush. So these are, it is going to be a brush tip, and you can see kind of like how thick you can get it, how thin. My issue is, you got to make sure if you're starting with this the first time, you definitely give it enough time for the ink to truly get through and to be fully saturated. If you start using this before it's fully saturated, you're going to get some patchiness. So this is the liner for the liquid. It only comes in black at this time. I think it's okay. You can see it does give you a crisp line. Not this, I wouldn't say it's the most crisp line I've ever seen. It's okay. So let's take a look at this little demo here for the liquid, because as soon as I got these, I wanted to start testing them out. So I tested them out, and I actually tested this one during like the school run. So then I had breakfast and everything afterwards. I had it on for almost 4 hours, and then this is what happens. If I go and touch my eye with that on, it smears. So if you don't touch it, it stays as is, but you do want to make sure you give it time to dry when you put it on. If you have issues like I do, where you want to make sure that you have your eye closed while it's drying, or the first time I put this on, it actually just sort of flipped to my other lid. So, and I don't mean right and left lid. I mean, once I blinked, I actually ended up moving the portion that was kind of in that creasy part of my mobile lid. And so that was a little frustrating. I didn't expect that to happen because it was a little sooner than I would expect. I felt like I had waited long enough. So it does take a few extra seconds to dry compared to some other brands I've used, like Suku, Addiction Tokyo, and so forth. I think overall, the line that you get from here is okay. Ease of the applicator, it's okay. It's pretty standard. I don't see anything spectacular about this liquid eyeliner. It has a hefty price tag, but personally, I don't really think the liquid eyeliner is worth it. You can get just as good, if not better, for a less expensive price. Again, my favorites would include things like Suku. I like the new Dior liquid eyeliners, the Addiction Tokyo liquid liners. I think those are all really great options, as well as Yuzi Beauty. So I would definitely look into some of those over this. Now, just a few details. We do have 0.5 milliliters of product in here, a 6-month shelf life, and it's made in Japan. Let's take a quick look at the Sisley liquid eyeliner, which recently came out, and see how they compare. So the Sisley is a much thinner packaging. You can see we do have a smaller diameter here. This is actually about the same size though. It's 0.55 milliliters versus your 0.5 milliliters for Hermes. They're both very hefty price tags, 6-month shelf life. This one's made in France instead of Japan. Now the Sisley, I think, is a fail. I'm gonna put this one, we'll put it vertically here, because this is a very liquidy formula. It's a little bit more, it's just a little runnier. So if you do have issues with, you know, fine lines and wrinkles and so forth, since it is a little bit more watery, you have to give it more time to dry. And on my eyes, it actually kind of, it bleeds into those fine lines. So I can't get as neat of an application. So the Hermes is better in that respect. The black of the Sisley, though, you can see is going to be a little bit richer here. I'll make a thicker swatch here. And you can see it's going to be a deeper black for the Sisley compared to the Hermes. So I actually do prefer the, I like the foam tip applicator on the Sisley better than the brush on the Hermes because I can get a finer point with the Sisley. But again, formula-wise, the Hermes is better, but neither of these are going to be stellar or, in my opinion, worth the hefty price tag for these liquid liners. Now, I don't return cosmetics that I have already tried unless there is a huge, like, gross misrepresentation of the product or some sort of major issue. So I'm not going to be returning this, but I would not repurchase the Hermes eyeliner. I do think that there are just better options. And regardless of the price point, I just think there are better options. So same goes with the lip and eyeliner pencils. So let's start off with the eyeliner pencil. I purchased a bunch of these, but I started off by opening just one shade of each to test the formula. So I'll show you those demos in a minute. And again, I tested those as soon as they came. So I didn't have any other makeup on. Now under the black cap, we do have a little smudge applicator here. And then, by the way, these do not come with sharpeners. So this is going to be the shade 57 Vert Malachite. And let me go ahead and put this one here. Do a thicker line and then a thin line. So they do feel creamy going on. They're not as soft and creamy as Victoria Beckham. You know, they don't have that same texture, but you can see just look at this thin line. Look at the consistency of the actual pigment there. You can see it's a bit waxy. So if you've ever used one of those invisible lip pencils, you know, which is really just a pencil of wax, and it's to help create a barrier from your lip products migrating, that there's a lot of wax in these formulas. And what that means here is it never 100% sets. These are never going to be eye or lip pencils that truly set and don't smudge if you touch them. So if you don't touch them, they will stay put. If you do touch them, they are going to smudge. This is the lip pencil in 21 Rose Épicée. And here we go. See that up close. Now this one's a little bit warmer. I shouldn't have opened this one first. Actually, it's not my favorite shade. And I'm conflicted because there are a few really great lip pencil shades that I'm contemplating keeping, and one other eyeliner shade I'm contemplating just for the colors. But I know I shouldn't, because at this price point, I expect better performance. So they're most likely going back. However, if I change my mind, I'll put those in the Gucci video, which will be up soon. So yeah, this is Rose Épicée. Let's take a look at the demos here. And you can see, and the first thing that I'm showing you, these are going to be the wear test. I've had these on. They were only I only had them on for just over 2 hours by the time I filmed this. They should have totally set by then. I had no other makeup on, but my skin is not oily. So I have balanced skin. It actually leans a little dry. So I don't have particularly oily eyelids or anything like that. And I would have expected these to have set and just kind of stay put. But you can see you can really wipe those away just like you can with the liquid eyeliner, which I found to be disappointing. So for another demo, I decided to try it out with a powder shadow underneath. I just used this shade Chic from Jones Road. I love their single eyeshadows. They're just a really great formula. And this one in particular is just like a light whitish ivory shade. So I figure we'll test it out with a drier base just in case I had any oils or anything that was interfering with the performance. But unfortunately, that's just not the case. These are just a little bit too waxy. Now I have to say, when I look at the pigmentation levels up close, I see a higher wax content in my green malachite. You can really see that the colors, it's just not 100% smooth. You've got some spots where, you know, it looks a little deeper in a certain spot than another. Just in a swatch even. I'm not talking about like application, uneven application. So it's a waxier product. The lip pencil doesn't seem as waxy. And I have to say, I don't get quite as much smudging from the lip pencil as I do from the eye pencil. So I do prefer the lip pencils over the eye pencils. Both of them have absolutely fantastic color ranges. I love the colors, and that's what makes it so hard because they have so many great colors to choose from. Not only is it hard to pick one if you want to get one, but for me, even though I don't love the formula, they have so many great colors that are kind of unique that I still want to keep some. So I am conflicted on that. I'd love your thoughts on that. But in particular, the lip pencils, you know, they have some really great shades. I think sometimes it's really hard to find more of those nude pink ones that either aren't too pink or aren't too brown. And Hermes has some, like the beige tay, or is it rose tay? It's the beige tay, number 18 beige tay, 16 beige tan, and 48 rose blasé. Those I think are my favorite shades of the lip pencils out of the ones I had ordered. So I am contemplating keeping those. For the eye pencil, I am contemplating keeping the 74 bronze nacre, which is really kind of an olive bronze kind of shade. And again, I haven't actually like opened them and swatched them just because I may be returning those. So if I decide to keep them, I will be swatching those in the Gucci holiday video, but otherwise they are going to be going back with the other shades I ordered. Those though are the ones that I'm contemplating keeping just because they do kind of fill a little bit of a gap in my collection. However, as you can see from the demos, you know, the performance just is not fantastic. And for the price tag, I would expect them to be smudge proof. So here are the arm swatches, and let's see here. Here's the lip. You can see it definitely smudges out. Now with these, you could totally just put them on, put some balm on, and call it a day. They are comfortable. I did wear one for several hours to test just the comfort without anything else on it. It is a comfortable product. The eyeliner, I mean, you can just see that there is definitely a lot of wax in there. So it's just, performance-wise, they're just not great. So overall, would I recommend these? If you are looking for the best performance, no. If you're looking for the best value, no. If, however, you're looking for a unique shade, a particular color, and you've had a hard time finding that, then yes, you know, if they have such a huge, broad shade range that if there's a particular color that speaks to you with these and you're going to wear it all the time, then yes, that would be worth it. However, go in there knowing that this is not going to be a smudge-proof formula for any of these products. So, you know, there's some give and take. Now, just a few product details. Both pencils have a 1-year shelf life and they are made in Germany. However, the eye pencils have 1.2 grams of product and the lip pencils have 0.9 grams of product. And again, neither of these come with a sharpener. Now, I would like to note that with the eye pencils for Hermes. Some of their demo photos use these as an eye crayon. So I did show you that demo where I kind of spread that out all over. And this would be a nice way to use those. And yeah, you know, if you go in and rub your eye, it's going to smudge or smear. But honestly, once you smudge that out enough, it's going to perform decently. So, you know, I think that is an option for the eye pencils. Let's go ahead and move on to the Nars Holiday Palette. And Nars has a huge holiday collection. They have multiple drop dates for different pieces. So far out of what has released, this is the product that has interested me. This is called Pure Luxury. It's a light reflecting cheek and eye palette, and I have shade number 1. You can see we do have kind of that like wavy top here. So this is not flat on the top. It is going to be gold plastic, come with a plastic sheet in here. And this is the palette. I have to say, I think it's really beautiful. One of the great things about these formulas, you can build these up by going in with a dense brush or using a finger applicator, but you can get a very, very soft finish for all of the shades if you go in with a softer brush. So that is a light pink highlighter. You can see there's a little bit of peach in there. And we have a shimmer, but it's not too glittery. There's a little bit of gold in that highlighter. This is like our bronzer shade, and you can see that the bronzer is warm. It's definitely going to be a golden bronzer. We have definitely a little bit of that golden tan shade in there. And then we have 3 shades that I like to use as blushes. Again, these can all be used on the eyes. I'm just personally not a fan of these shades on the eyes. So we start off with this metallic pink blush, and this is going to be, you know, a cooler tone pink. And the shimmer in here, you can see we have a little bit, there's a little bit of gold, but we also have kind of that cooler tone pink, so a little bit of silver mixed in there. I think this is a really pretty shade. And when you're wearing that one on the cheeks, I feel like I don't need a highlighter with it. So if you like pink eyeshadows though, I really like that shade for it as well. And then we have this more peachy coral shade. You can see we don't have all of the shimmer in this one. This one's going to be more of a satin matte. And then the shade I have on my cheeks right now is going to be our 3rd shade, which is going to be more of a warmer, it's like a dusty rose. Touch of mauve in there, but really more of a dusty rose. And just like the coral shade, this is going to be more of a satin matte. So this is the palette here. And I have to say, I think it's a really beautiful palette. Let's take a look at the cheek swatches. So for the cheek swatches, I started off with a very soft cheek brush. This is the Chikuhodo Ren 7 brush. And this, it's very soft. So you're going to get a very soft finish, just a little bit of color. And I think this is great for, you know, anytime you want to go in softly, use a softer, fluffier brush. Then I wanted to really build up that pigmentation, so I switched to a Hakuhodo brush. And this is like a domed cheek brush. It's undyed goat hair. It's a little bit more firm, and it's a pretty dense cheek brush. This is from their Winter Lights collection a couple years back. And you know, that really builds it up. So if you want to build up that color, you definitely want to go with a more dense brush. And something like that, or like a buffing style brush, those are really going to build up your pigment quickly. And I think they're beautiful, and none of them are overpowering even when built up. And again, for deeper complexion, they have a separate palette. So I think this one is good for anywhere from like fair to a light medium. And then once you get more to the middle of the medium range, you probably want to move up to the 2nd palette. All of the products are made in Italy with an 18-month shelf life. And we have the 2 shades at the top, the highlighter and the like more bronzer shade. That's called Bombshell and Blonde Crazy. And we have both of those at 4.2 grams of product. So those are going to be our larger pans. And then at the bottom, the 3 that I personally like for blush, we have Red Dust, Rough Cut, and Pandora's Box. And those are 3 grams each. So we have about 17.4 grams of product total in here. And I think it's a really nice palette. I love these baked formulas. And I love how the shimmers are metallic and very finely milled. You don't feel any grittiness with these. You also don't see any large chunks of glitter. But again, the ones that really have the shimmer are going to be that top more highlighter shade and the brighter, cooler tone pink blush. You know, the first one in the bottom row. So those are really the only two that you truly see shimmer in. And I think they are stunning shades. If you like pink shadows on the lids, I think those two paired together would just be stunning. So really beautiful palette. I think this is a great holiday release and definitely something that can be used all year. So I'm personally really happy with this. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this palette. So one more time, let's just take a look at these swatches here. So we've got our two shades at the top, which are in the larger 4.2 gram pans. And then these three are in 3 gram pans. Overall, I think it's a really beautiful palette. So on my cheeks right now, I have mostly this blush, but then I have a little bit of the bronzer shade towards the back of my cheekbones, and the highlighter is softly dusted on. And I think it's just a really nice, easy, finish and finished look. So let's go ahead and move into the Prada Holiday collection. So this is the design on their limited edition holiday products. We do have some shades of the lipstick in the permanent line that also have the special packaging. Now, let me just show you this here on the lipstick. We can see we've got the design here, but as we turn it, it does not go all the way around the cap. So just something to note there, and it is only on the cap. So if you already have the lipstick, it's not worth purchasing it for the packaging, in my opinion. But if you don't have it and you like it, definitely worth getting. Keep in mind that the Prada palettes, they are refillable, so you could definitely reuse this packaging. So there's just a little lever here. This is plastic, and it just pops the palette right out. So we do have 2 utensils that come with this, and this is going to be a really beautiful palette. So we start off kind of with this burgundy. This is going to be one of their mattes. You can see I picked up a tiny bit of silver just because it's such a thin area here. But what I like about this formula is you can really get a very soft, buffed out finish with this as well. So you don't have to use this as deeply as it looks. It does not have to be a liner shade. I think that's what makes it versatile. Usually with the Prada palettes, we have a variety of finishes, but these 3 are really going to all be more of these like soft metallics. So we have this rose shade here, and I mean, you can dust these like a little softly, but you're still going to get more of that strong metallic sheen with these. So this is not going to be a palette for those who are looking for, something a little bit softer or, more subtle. So you can see the silver, no matter, even if you use a tiny bit, you're getting kind of that beaming silver. And our silver does have the teeniest glint of a blue-gray in there. And then this is our gold. It's a little bit of a burnished gold. It's not too yellow, but it's also not too orange. It's almost like an antique gold. So this is the palette. I think it is absolutely beautiful. I love the colors here. Now it does remind me of some shades that we have in some of the other Prada palettes. We'll take a look at those in a second, but let's start off with the swatches. So this palette is called number 10 Platinum. It is limited edition. We have 6 grams of product and a 2-year shelf life, and it's made in France. That matches up with those in the permanent line as well. And again, I think it's great that you are able to reuse this packaging. So if you were to purchase this, use it up, you can actually just purchase a refill to fill this packaging afterwards, which is great. Sometimes we see things that are refillable, but you still have to purchase something as a full product instead of just buying a refill. Prada has refills available, which I think is great. We do have a full-size mirror in the cap, and it does come with 2 utensils here, and they are single-ended. Honestly, I never use the utensils. I have to say though, I absolutely love this palette. It's such a great holiday palette. You could make so many different looks here, and The matte shade, I love how you can really kind of sheer this out and get more of a softer color. That looks great even just on its own. And then using one of the metallic shades as a liner, I think that is a really nice, more subtle way to do a little bit of glitz and glam for the holidays. So all of these more metallic formulas, the rose, the silver, and the gold, they are incredibly creamy and soft. They're easy to work with. They're not gritty. And they actually do work well if you want to use them to line something. You're not getting like fallout really from these shades. And they're, again, as I said, they're very smooth and pliable. They're easy to use. So since they are so pigmented, you can get a nice deep metallic line from these without having to go in over and over and build that up. They don't really sheer out. They're going to stay pretty concentrated even with a small amount. So again, I really do think it's easy to kind of sheer out that matte or even build it up, but then use just one of the metallic shades to give a little bit of sparkle as a liner. If you want to go all out with the metallics, they do blend nicely. So you can layer these and get a little bit of nuance there. Whichever one you put on top will be your major shade, but then when you shift, you're going to see, you know, as the light hits it differently, you'll see a little bit of one of those other colors. And I think it's really beautiful. So in today's look, I kind of mixed a little bit of the silver and the pink and made a little bit of a gradient there. And when I do move my head a certain way, I can see like more bits and pieces of that. And it does give it a slightly different look. I personally really like it. Even though the metallic shades stay very pigmented and very strong, you can use these with a soft fluffy brush and get just a little bit of shimmer like on the brow bone or something. So you have to go in, you know, definitely with that less is more mentality, but it is something that can be done. So I actually do have a little bit of the glitter kind of buffed into the crease area. Gives me a little bit of sheen, but it's not too much in my opinion. So I just think it's an absolutely beautiful palette, but I do feel like some shades do have some similarities. So let's start off. We're going to go through the ones I have. So this is number 1, Portrait. And this one actually isn't that similar to any of them. The closest is going to be more of this shade here. We'll put this down here because this is really going to be more of a champagne than a gold. But I want to show you how those compare. So this is definitely going to be lighter and softer in tone. But number 4, Poetry, we have this one here, which is, I don't think that's an exact match to the first shade here. Let me just, again, it's a thin strip, so it's a little bit harder to get there. And let's make that a little bit more pigmented. You can see that that is definitely similar. Very, very close shades. Are they identical? You know, I think they might be. And then this pink shade here made me think of this pink shade here, which, yeah, those are, they might be the same. I feel like this one looks slightly deeper, but it could just be a batch difference. I feel like the underlying shade is the same. So really, if you have number 4, Poetry, 2 of those shades there are basically already in there. This is number 3, Pulse. And I wanted to take a look at the deeper shade here. This is going to be more purple though. Again, it looks very close, but this is actually going to be a bit more purple. It's not as much of a burgundy. And then we can go ahead and swatch this one here, but this is not going to match. You can see it's more taupe. It's more a gunmetal kind of shade. And then the last one I wanted to look at is number 2, Profusion, because we do have a silver here. And I wanted to see how this silver compares. This silver, it's similar, but this one's a little bit brighter and perhaps, yeah, it's a little bit brighter, maybe a little bit more blue. This is slightly more gray. But if you have palette number 2 and palette number 4, you basically have those holiday colors aside from the gold. So just something to note there. They're very close. Definitely feel like number 4 Poetry palette, those 2 shades, this one and this one here, are just so incredibly close. Now for their lipstick offerings, they actually brought out their classic lip balm, which is just this one here. I'm gonna put this on my hand. This is just clear. it looks green in the tube, but you can see it's right here. You don't really have any tint, but I will show you this in the lip swatches. But you can get this with the special lid for the holiday packaging. Then we have one of the soft matte lipsticks, and this is shade B101. Now, I already had this one, so this is in the regular packaging, but again, this is available in the limited edition holiday packaging. This is what's on my lips right now, along with the Hermes lip pencil in Rose Épicée. So this is a really nice warm pink, and it will give you that blurred lip effect. And then this one I picked up in the holiday packaging because I didn't have it already. This is B03 Mahogany, and this is one of the hyper mattes. So this is their deeper mattes, and you can see that this is going to be more of a deep burgundy with a touch of brown. Let me go ahead and put that one right here by the shade in the palette. You can see it's much more of a true burgundy, more red in there compared to the eyeshadow, but it does go very well with this color story. So these are the holiday offerings. Let's take a look at the lip swatches. Now, all of these lip products, the lip balm and both lipstick formulas, have 3.8 grams of product, a 2-year shelf life, and they are all made in France. We have magnetic closure for these, and as I mentioned, the holiday packaging, we just have that design on the lid there. It doesn't go all the way around, so I feel like they could have done something a little bit more special there, and it would have been great if they had offered some new shades. Actually, after swatching the eyeshadow palette even, I'm slightly, I am a bit disappointed how close Poetry is to the holiday palette. That being said, I really love the 4 shades that they have included together. And I think the lipstick choices complement the color story for these very well. I like how they have a soft matte and a hyper matte with this, but I would have, preferred to have seen some new shades or slightly different packaging just to make the holiday collection a little bit more special than what we got. Prada lipsticks in general, the formulas, I find them to be very comfortable. Your soft mattes do have a little bit more of a powder texture in them. They're not drying, they are comfortable and smooth. And again, they'll give you a bit more of that blurred lip effect, whereas your hyper mattes are going to be more strongly pigmented. They're your deeper shades. And one of the big differences between these two formulas is your base color. Your soft mattes have a white base while your hyper mattes have a black base. So it really does give you a slightly different look, and we get some lighter, softer colors in the soft matte version. Now, one thing to differentiate these lipsticks apart in packaging is your hyper mattes always have kind of that gold Prada logo in the middle, whereas we have silver for the soft mattes and for the lip balms. So overall, I really do love this palette from Prada for the holidays. I think it's great. I think it's worth getting. However, if you already have palette number 4, Poetry, it's, it depends how much you want the other shades, so that's kind of my only drawback there. Otherwise, I would definitely say 100% I recommend it. But if you already have number 4 Poetry, I would hesitate on that. It depends how much you're going to use the other shades, but I think it's stunning. I love the look that I created with it today. I love Prada formulas. They're probably my favorite formulas, especially if you want a more bold look. And they're just so comfortable. They're smooth. They're not, I can actually put on and do eye swatches with these palettes with all of these shimmery shades without irritation from them. So for me, I really love their formulas. I love the colors. I love how easy they are to use and blend out. The lipstick colors that they included with the collection, I think are nice choices. I love both of the formulas, but I do wish that they had used something a little bit different. And I wish the lipstick packaging was just a little bit more special than it is. At least the eyeshadow palette goes all the way around here. Good news is, though, at least this is refillable. I mean, technically, so is this, but, I just don't think it's special enough to warrant purchasing one of these for the packaging, in my opinion. So just a quick summation of everything we talked about today. We start off with the Hermes pencils and liquid liner. I think the liquid liner, it's an average liquid liner, so I don't think that the performance of this warrants the high price tag. it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just nothing great. So for me, I'd rather spend a little bit less and get something that I prefer, like those liners I mentioned from Suku or Addiction Tokyo, Yuzi Beauty. So, that's my thought on the liquid. And if you do have oilier eyelids, I would say I would not recommend these products at all, because you could see how easy they were to wipe away for me. And for the pencils, again, I feel like there's just a little bit too much wax in here so that they don't truly set down and become smudge proof. They do smudge. So I know I should return the other ones that I was contemplating keeping. They have some really great colors, so I'm still kind of on the fence on that, but I'm most likely going to return those. And, again, the biggest plus here for these is the fact that we have such a great broad color range, but the performance there is just, it's not great. Again, they're not terrible, but don't expect smudge proof products with these new Hermes products. So, yeah, I wouldn't recommend them. I think you can find something better. The new Tom Ford lip pencils and eyeliners, those have been fantastic. The ones that have come out this year from YSL and Valentino, those are definitely some of my favorites. I would highly recommend those over the Hermes. So that's my take on those. And then as for the Nars palette, I love the Nars palette. I think it is great. If you like blushes and products like that, I definitely think it's worth looking into. We've got some beautiful shades here. We've got a mix of cool and warm tones there. And I love how easy it is to get a light finish or build it up with these formulas. So I would definitely recommend that. So let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments. And thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope this was helpful. I'll see you very soon. Have a great day.